Oloram Baldrate Brater Narvore. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Way of the Mandalore Religious Movement podcast. Today we've got Zel Namore and Hayam with me, and we have a fun-filled topic day. In the server, I posted the question, what does everyone want to hear about? And I put Traciors, Charles, EDC Medical, Best Gum, or all of the above. And with an overwhelming 20 votes, we get to talk about all of it today. So, the topics being Traciors and what do we all carry, Calls and what do we carry, Everyday Medical and what do we carry, and Best Gum and what do we all wear throughout the day. So I'll just go ahead and start out. We'll just do it topic by topic, starting out with the Traciers. I've got a Ruger SR9 9mm that I usually carry with me everywhere I go, from portal to portal. Uh, I will. Okay, nope, that's gonna be the next one. Zell, what do you normally carry, and
Cur-
why?
Currently, I do not have a treasure of my own. Um,
Shame be upon you.
I
Legal
financial
reasons or financial?
financial reasons. I sadly had to part ways with my treasure, but when I did have it legally at the time, I wasn't able to. But now, if I had it, it would have been a 6-hour P250 Defender that I used when I was in security, which I don't care what people say. I love its heavy trigger pull, and I only had to draw it once in the 4.5 years of private security that I was in, and Lord knows I am happy that I did not have a touchy trigger.
True. Heavy trigger pull is often a good thing.
Yes,
Most
it
think it is, but it can be, especially for those who have itchy trigger fingers.
exactly. Don't get me wrong. A light trigger pull, if you're doing sports competitions, sports shooting, by all means, that's a good thing to have. Is a light trigger pull. But when you're in a serious situation like what my job required, if I had to use it, a heavy trigger pull, I strongly recommend, being that it gives you that just little extra time of like, is this really what I want to do?
Do I really want to pull this trigger right now?
Now,
Let you think about the consequences.
Exactly.
and that's not to say that you should go out and buy one of the Glock 20-pound triggers, because
Oh no.
absolutely not. That is
No,
absolutely absurd. But uh, it really is up to you what you choose to carry, what you feel most comfortable and confident carrying in a safe and healthy manner, if you will. Because again, like, we all have different preferences. That's where the term shooter's preference came from. So if you're listening in and you're like, well, I actually prefer a lighter trigger, go right ahead. It really comes down to what you feel safe and confident carrying.
Oh, most definitely. If you're not comfortable holding your treasure, uh, then you're more of a harm to the people around you than you are a what's the word I'm looking for? You're more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, I I really do listen to the spirits of the weapon, so to speak, because I have about three. Uh, Hold on, trust years that I rotate in and out, and really I just let them speak to me, if that makes sense. There's a Springfield XDS 45 that I carry, a Shadow Systems MR 920 that I carry, and another Shadow Systems CR 920 that I will throw in there as well. All, in my opinion, very noble pieces of equipment. Not that there is a non-noble weapon, but there are certain ones that definitely are harder to love than others.
Yeah.
Nice. Something that I would like to carry with me, but for obvious reasons we really can't, is the what was it? The con that I've got that I custom built. I've got a 308 AR-10 platform that I custom built last year.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, it's very sexy. I love that thing. I even got the sigil laser etched into it, as well as the words "Ibik Runi."
Ooh, even nicer. But yeah, go back to the comfortability. For me, I respect Glocks for their reliability and everything they have, their versatility. But to me, their grips are just uncomfortable. So that goes
Don't
into the shooter's preference.
I have nothing against Glock, but you will never see me personally carrying one for the simple reason it doesn't have a safety. Don't get me wrong, yeah, I know booger hook off of the trigger is the best safety of all. Shit can happen, and I like having that extra safety.
Well, then I'll say you wouldn't like the 250 Defender that I was carrying because there was no other than the heavy trigger pull. There was no safety to the gun whatsoever.
I just like that ability to just click. Y'all done fucked up now.
Me personally as well, and this is not to discount the particular brand because it's a very very popular brand. I You would not catch me dead carrying a SIG P320 or M17 M18 until at least a couple years down the road because I am still scared to death of the number of reports that have occurred of the firearm discharging while police officers were holstering, while active duty service members were handling it without booger hooks being on the bang switches. You know what I mean?
That's why I like the additional safety.
Yeah, those
Like
Trishers had a very fatal flaw that the catch was not reliable and would let loose the firing pin. Sadly,
But again, that particular brand is very esteemed, if you will, and well known within the community. They make great products, in my opinion, but that particular product was very. It definitely did not help their reputation.
that.
mm-hmm.
So I
And
see we've got a Candle Drashia decided to
Roshaya.
join us. What
Um,
does what do you carry as your everyday Tracy your pew?
Freedom Seed
uh,
Dispenser.
I
Yes.
do not have one yet, but here lately I have been carrying a karambit.
And that is also one of the topics we've got is what
Um,
calls do we carry?
but I want your guys' opinion.
What you got?
I have been recently. I have been willing to trust myself with a firearm again.
Right, I
I
saw that
have
message.
been considering an M9. What is your guys' opinion on that one?
I do not have an opinion on the M9 personally.
A Beretta M9.
Yes.
A
I do like.
very reliable, very good uh, sidearm. There's a reason the military and police forces used to use them.
No, I thought that was the one, but I wasn't sure.
So,
I
believe
never
it or
got
not,
one.
go ahead, sir.
I was just saying I never got issued one, so I never got to use it, so I don't have an opinion.
So, believe it or not, my one of my best friends and I have bickering matches over Beretta being the most superior weapon ever produced. Because I personally don't believe that there is a quote unquote superior weapon unless you're spending like thousands of dollars for perfection, if you will, not even like Glock perfection. I'm talking true perfection, which I've yet to really see in a firearm. Everything has its pros and cons. In my opinion, the Beretta does provide a much more stable and easily handled platform because again, given its service history, it was intended to be used by the average Joe, picked up and easily manipulated and taught how to use it.
Granted, my dad, former Navy Master of Arms dog handler, he held on to his 1911 as long as he could because he'd just rather have a 45 over a 9mm. He didn't really, other than the fact that it was a 9mm, he didn't have anything really to complain about when it came to the Beretta M9.
And the Beretta M9, like some of the things that are really good about it is its double action, single action functionality. You can start off with the first experience with it, if you will, without saying any no words, by putting it into single action prior to utilizing it, or you can go ahead and keep it in the double action mode. And earlier we were talking about having a heavier trigger just to ensure that you are not making a mistake and you have thought out the decision you're about to make prior to utilizing said tool, which again, in my opinion, is a wonderful capability that it has to be able to both be very stable and easy to manipulate, as well as provide that extra safety if needed.
Gotcha. All right, so I have an update for the language. Shannon will not have one up for us to cover this week, but we will have one and maybe multiple to cover for next week.
Alrighty. We could talk about that off podcast.
That was for the people listening in, if they're looking strictly for language.
I was referring to something else.
Gotcha. My bad.
Nope, you're good.
So also I interrupt this to present Exhibit A in the voice channel chat. Is the con that I custom built.
Ooh.
Hey, if you don't mind telling us about the glass that you put on it, what kind of glass do you have on it?
I don't remember. That scope that I've had is at least 5 or 6 years old. I remember purchasing it for I want to say about 600 or 700. Has a triple time zoom on it. Very, very comfortable and easy to use. I do not remember brand or anything. But overall,
It's a Vortex Optics. I'm looking at the brand on the knob right now.
okay, you were able to zoom in on that and tell? Okay.
Yeah, that's a Vortex glass.
Gotcha. Also, I'm going to post a couple extra things that I got done to it just as soon as I can get the pictures up. So on the one side, as soon as these load, there we go. I've got the sigil and eBic Rooney where the fun button would be. So if I ever get a fun button installed on it, the fire selector will go from safe to semi to this is the way.
Lovely.
And on the next side is the selector. I've got the sigil. All three of those laser engraved from the shop that I got the lower from. They did a great job on that.
It looks like it's very much a quality job that was done.
Thank you.
And if I may as well, something else for a lot of our vote that might be listening in, whether it's now or later on. Some of the more commonly accepted practices whenever you're working on something a little bit longer, prior to purchasing more stuff, if you will, I've seen so many people that have bare bones longer items. I would highly recommend prior to purchasing an additional one, make sure you complete the first one. And when
Yes.
I say complete, I mean sling, light, optic, and those are really the necessities that you need for what I would consider a complete version of it. Anything else is just gravy and icing on the cake.
And do keep in mind what you're planning, the use of what it is that you're working on, and make sure that everything that you're adding to it enhances the use and doesn't just like, oh, this is cool, this will look cool. Really take your time with what you're building.
I will also add in this weapon is really heavy. So, in that consideration, don't make it any heavier by getting heavy optics or attachments. Keep your weight ratio in mind. Because everything you add to it will make that weapon heavier.
And if you want to get humbled real quick, go ahead and take that and hold it up for 2 minutes. Just sit there in the upright position and hold it there for 2 minutes and see if it can last. It's not to insult any of our Vode, but it's also a good stamina check. If you can do it for 2 minutes, try it for 3. Literally, it can be a workout for you to go ahead and try to, as Tenet 5 number said, train your body to be ready for any type of circumstances.
If you
Holding
can,
your weapon at a ready position is going to be a necessity at some point. Hopefully not, but be prepared for it.
I would say if you can comfortably hold the weapon for a minimum of 10 minutes at the ready, you're pretty decent. Go for more, of course, but 10 minutes is a good benchmark for, because if you're having, for one, if you're going longer than 10 minutes,
You're in battlefield position already. So,
But kind of bringing it back from the more dedicated platforms, if you will, to more everyday type situations, I would highly recommend. In this day and age, we have optics that can go on your smaller versions, red dot optics and things like that.
mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend prior to adding on a red dot, unless you have difficult eyesight or your eyes are a little bit fading, if you will, I would highly recommend that you try to become proficient with iron sights and then go ahead and upgrade, because some of these upgrades are not meant to make you better. It's meant to, I mean, they are meant to make you better, but it builds off of what's already there, if that makes sense.
Iron sights will never fail you if your training is adequate.
give me a good old iron sight that's zeroed into the weapon. I can hit something 300 yards away.
Keep in mind that the iron sights that are zeroed are also based off the individual.
Not if you zero it to the weapon. Zero it to the weapon, and anybody can handle that.
Well, the reason I say that is because not everyone's head is built the same.
Trust me, I do understand what you're saying. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
Another fun thing to kind of talk about when it comes to these particular platforms is something offset iron sights or offset red dot sights. Something to keep in mind, like, yeah, it looks really cool, but understanding the functionality of said platforms. Said platforms, at least the military style ones, kind of arc the projectile, if you will. So if you have to cant that weapon about 45 degrees, it's going to change the flight paths. So just bear in mind, if you do decide to implement 45-degree offsets, whether it's red dot or irons, make sure you're not doing long range shots, because after about 100 yards or so, that's when you're really going to see the offset start to become a factor.
Offset sights like that should be no longer than roughly 30 yards. Truth be told.
Absolutely. I personally run a magnifier red dot combination. We could argue and debate the LPVO versus a magnifier red dot optic combination till the cows come home. And again, it ultimately comes back to what you feel most comfortable with, what you feel confident in utilizing, because some people aren't proficient in the ability to adjust an LPVO's magnification optic, because you can very much overpower it or underpower it. And so some people like the magnifier option because it's a set magnification. You know, as soon as you bring that magnifier over, you know exactly how much magnification there is, if you will.
Yeah, but to bring it back down to everyday carry of a treasure, um, keep in mind.
Now aren't everyday carries.
Yeah, to things to keep in mind for those who have yet to find theirs. Um, make sure it's comfortable in your hand. Don't be afraid of getting a subcompact or one that's designed for concealed carry. You're not, if you're having to use it, most likely you're in very close quarters for the most part. To which like a subcompact Glock, was it like G12 or something like that? It has a very short barrel, like 5 round
I think
magazine.
you're talking about the 43 or 26. I'm sorry, 26.
Or 26, yeah. G26 is a very short, compact that at about 10, 20 yards max is still fairly accurate and gives you plenty of stopping power.
And it's, honestly, most of your conflicts will be within that 15 to 21 yard.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, a lot of range time, if you're not proficient with it, is heavily recommended. Find somewhere that, I know it's not going to be everywhere, but try to find an outdoor range where you can just pay for the day and not have to worry about the by hour fee. That way you can spend as much time as you want actually practicing and not worrying about, oh, it's like, oh, I've got 10 minutes left. Crap, I need to do this. Or I need to work on this. It's like, no, just find somewhere outdoors, maybe even a place that requires a membership. Personally, I don't like them, but they do have their uses where you can just spend the day sending lead downrange.
The rule of thumb I lived by when I was able to was I'd try to go at least twice a month, and should my finances allow, I would try to do at least 10 boxes of FMJs each time.
I actually need to restock on my 9. I've got maybe 100 rounds left out of the 1,200 I bought 10 years ago.
Yeah, this was in 40 for me. And that's an. That's. I was gonna say that's another thing is caliber of your weapon. Make sure it's something that you can actually handle and not just, oh, I'm gonna go 45 because it's got the most stomping power. It's got the most stomping power, but it's also got the heaviest recoil.
Which is also why I like the 9. It's got decent recoil and decent stopping.
I like 40 because it's like that good middle ground of capacity and stopping power.
My SR9 has a 17 double stack. magazine, so I've got the rounds if I need them.
One of the mantras that I kind of live by as well was, I believe it was Clint Smith at Thunder Ranch, said that a engagement will only last as long as your ammunition. And that being said, ammunition that's ready to be used, not just free floating stuff.
True.
Yep. Another thing to keep in mind is your area's laws on your treasure, making sure that whatever you're going to get falls in line with those.
Mississippi and Tennessee constitutional carries.
Texas just recently became the same for open carry.
Now, see, fun story. I was actually at the Pyramid, our over gloricized Bass Pro Shop, which is inside of a pyramid here in Memphis. And somebody was visiting from Texas and was surprised he had to do a background check. He just tried handing his concealed carry permit. Because apparently that's all they have to do in Texas is you have a carry permit, you show it, walk out with the firearm. I love Texas.
I'll be honest, I'm not aware of that one. Every time I've done a firearm purchase, unless it's been like a private transaction between an individual, I've always had to do a background check. And even my dad, who's former military, had his CHL and everything, even he had to do a background check.
See, that's the way I understood it, is because that's the law. You have to do a background check for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in some states, Georgia is another example of something that Texas is doing, is during the pandemic when everything was getting purchase bought, everyone who had a weapons permit, there was like a 2, 3, 4 day wait period on background checks, even in states that don't require a wait period, if you will. And if you were a holder of a permit, they would bypass that immediate background check because you've already passed a background check, but they would post facto do the background check. So I think the gentleman that you encountered was talking about the ability to walk out without doing a full background check. They probably still filled out a 4473 that was to be completed after the fact, but in the store and more immediate results were yielded because a background check had already been conducted during the permitting process.
That does make sense. It's no straw purchase buying, luckily. But let's stay out of that legality zone. We're not
Oh no, yeah.
Ears.
Try to avoid political talk is definitely a good thing to do, because then we might run into all sorts of issues. I'm just saying, keep in mind what your local areas, because I know some laws is like, you could have a firearm, but only these firearms are allowed to actually be for like personal carry kind of thing.
So let's go ahead and move in. I think we've pretty much talked about treasures now. Let's move into the calls and what do we carry. So me personally, I will have no less than 2 on me at any time, folding pocket cals. I've also thought about some throwing calls. I forgot what those are called. Let me go back into the Mondoa, see if I can't find that term while y'all talk about yours. Or not.
Good call.
Yes, good calls. There we go. I own several good calls.
Good call.
About starting to carry with me concealed.
For me personally, I've got a Kershaw folder that I carry with me. I'm planning on. I've been looking into getting a fixed blade to carry as like a boot knife or boot call.
So for me, there's a few. I love my karambit. As I'm sorry, I can't see your name right now because of the border. But the other Vore or Vod that was speaking about the karambits, I'm a huge fan of those. And like Nikon, I carry at least two. And the reason being is for me, one is a utility call or gall, and one is a more intimate version, if you will, because I want one that I can basically beat up and use as a work related device, and another that is not for work. It's for me to um, have as something to keep me safe if I'm not able to have my tertiary on me.
I have a word for boot. It's a setare call.
Satale call.
Boot knife. Setare call.
Hey, we're getting language in.
And
If we're
then
trying to speak Mondoa so that we can stay in the good graces of Discord, we might want to have the words right.
Fair.
absolutely. And then the other thing that I carry, if I'm going camping or doing outdoorsy stuff, is I have the SE4, which is has a very long service history, if you will. It's kind of lesser known, but within the communities that it is known in, I've heard it compared to uh, a lawnmower blade that got converted into what it is. So you can't break it, you can't destroy it, and it retains an edge like no other. I've seen guys open up ammo cans with it before, like not use it as a pry bar, but like open up an ammo can, like a tin can, and then take it to a piece of paper, and it still retains itself. So that is a high price device, if you will, but it's very much worth it. It's a buy once, cry once.
Which is this one?
It's called the SE4, spelled Echo Sierra Sierra Echo, and then the number 4. They offer 3 different sizes. There's the SE3, SE4, and SE5.
You said ESE?
Echo Sierra Sierra Echo.
I think that would be the SA. Like Spanish SA.
Yeah, I've always heard it called the SE4, and it confused me because I thought it was Sierra Echo, but then I had somebody spell it for me, and that's when I was able to find it.
You
The
sure
problem
it's not,
is that
sure it's not Echo Sierra Echo Echo?
I don't have it in front of me, so that's a very, very likely option.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards the Echo Sierra Double Echo.
I just checked it. Y'all are both right. I was wrong. My bad.
It's all good.
I just did a quick Google search, and that was the first top result was that. So
Ooh, they even have little Kotokan. I think it would be a bit oversight for having one of those. I mean, unless you're out in the woods, then having a Kotokan would definitely be a good place. Ooh, punch call.
I also see a big call.
Are you talking about the 5 variant?
I don't know. It says expat, so let's see the brand. The Cleaver. Yeah, you got some prices on those. Holy crap!
I mean, if they do what Hayam says that they do, it's definitely understandable.
If you guys have heard of the YouTuber Garand Thumb, that is the blade that he swears by.
Which one? The Cleaver?
No, the Echo Sierra Echo 4. That's
Okay.
the one that he, as a seer instructor, utilized for years, and to this day still carries the same blade he started out with.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. This is not the essay like the Spanish that I thought it was. I will correct myself on that one. I was like, wait a minute, there's an essay knife. Decent
But
prices though. You're definitely gonna be spending a penny on these. So I would hope the quality's there for that.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend, if you are looking to purchase one of those, look for a local dealer or distributor. Just like if you were trying to find a, God, I need to look up these words, but the first topic we were talking about, if you're not sure about the first topic we were talking about, obviously go check it out. Put it in your hands. Take it for a test run. Go where you can physically see it before you make any decisions, because again, these aren't the MTAC or MTech options, or the high point options, if you will. These are, you're going to spend some money, but hopefully you're getting the money spent on it. That being said, I'm not going to talk bad about MTech or anybody who purchases within their capabilities, because you're doing what you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that we ask keepers to do is buy what you can afford. We can't tell you to go out and buy these things to be a keeper. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, and as far as the
But
tenet number one of must to be armed when not alone, any arms, whether it's a collar or a trichere, does meet the standards. I mean, granted, it does.
it
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 it,
also
it
specifically
recommends.
says yours. However, that being said, we know not everybody can either afford or even legally carry tracheurs.
Exactly. It's more of a. It would be It would be preferred to carry a trichere, but not. But it's understandable that one cannot adhere
See,
to that specific.
my problem is right now I can't afford one. It's actually Wednesday. I'm going to take out a loan for a bike, so I'm not going to be able to buy one for a while.
And that's completely understandable.
Financially, we're not saying go bankrupt yourself.
Well, I mean, I still make knives, so I can always stay. And
You're
wherever
armed
I am,
regardless,
there's
so
a knife
that is
literally within arm's reach of me.
I mean, hell, just with me, I've got one fixed blade, I've got a folding, I've got 3 throwings. Just on my PC desk right now. I've also got a full-blooded German Shepherd, a Boxer Shepherd mix, who will defend as needed.
I'll be honest, looking through these calls, the Junglist 2 is really speaking to me.
Oh, let's see if I can see that one. Junglist, where is it?
It's under the SA Knives.
Jen!
Price tag is a little on the hefty side, but from what I see of it, it's
I don't see the jungle. Is it on the second page, or?
No, it's on the first page. It's right behind.
Oh, there
under.
it is. Junglist.
Yeah, Junglist 2.
That does kind of look nice. $300 though.
Yeah, but from the
that's
specs that
pretty
I'm looking at, it's around the parameters that I like to personally have when trying not to cough.
That's what editing is for. Because we're already gonna have to edit my dog barking.
Yeah. But another thing is, just like with Trechere's, comfortability in your hand, making sure that it's not going to slip. I would definitely recommend one that's got somewhat of a guard, so your hand's not going to slip up to the blade.
They can be just as dangerous to you as they are to the enemy.
Mm-hmm. And if you can, once you find the call that you are most comfortable with at the time, do try to get a dummy replica to the best that you can
Uh,
for practicing.
I'm going to add on to that. The Armorers Guild is actually working on getting training calls made. So if you're looking to, before you purchase, if you want to get a training one, get in contact with us, members of the guild. And we've got several 3D printers or metal workers who can actually make them out of wood or even 3D prints. And we'd be more than welcome, more than happy to do it for y'all. And hey, you know what? It doesn't hurt to plug in the Armorers Guild. Support the way.
Something fun I think we could do at the end of this conversation after the 4 is go bags. So a culmination of everything that you may keep separate from your everyday carry as something that's more accessible, but more accessible than having to collect everything into one bag. Like if you have a go bag, what do you keep in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kando, do you have anything to add for calls? Kale?
Negative.
I mean, come on, you're the call maker. You're the Bezbeg call. You make.
Okay. Honestly, this is personal preference, but
That's all we're
if
doing.
you don't carry the other, make sure that you are proficient with throwing yours, just in case you need that range. And each one that is not meant for throwing, well, actually, even the throwing ones are unique in their own balance.
Yeah, I will. I have just started practicing with those myself. I will attest to that.
And the ones that are not balanced, you really have to pay attention how you throw them, because they are not meant to be thrown effectively.
But
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
To add on to the Gukale, keep in mind the range that you would be using them when you practice.
yes,
Because the release on a Gukale is different depending on your range.
you're either gonna release it from the blade edge, the blade side, or you're gonna release it from the handle. I have learned this.
That being said, are there any thoughts on call that should be avoided?
In my opinion, for everyday carry stuff like tomahawks.
Okay, actually, I've, at least in the state of Oklahoma, tomahawks, axes, and whatnot are technically considered assault, or not so much a bladed weapon. They are considered aggressive weapons, and they are actually illegal. But I know in Oklahoma, any blade, any size, so even a sword, you can feasibly carry because it is not illegal.
Same for Texas
But
now.
Not sure about Tennessee or
my advice is to make sure what the laws are, so you are in accordance with them and not just carrying whatever you want and end up getting in trouble for it.
Yes. Oh, I forgot I had a little another small pocket call. It's blocked by a cup.
Personal thoughts when it comes to Kotokan or Kotokanir. I think there's a bit of a typo with that.
Yeah, it was missing the IR.
Yeah, Kotokanir. Really, for everyday use, a Kotokanir I don't see truly viable. That's more of something when you're having like out in the woods more so and needing
That
to.
would be more in your go bag or your bug out bag than an
Mhm.
everyday carry. For me personally, anyways. I
Yeah,
don't live in an area where that's needed every day.
yeah, that's a personal opinion that a kotokaneer is a specialty uh, item.
If you're living in the Pacific, I'm turning into Mike Tyson. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, that's an everyday thing that you're probably gonna need. But living in downtown Memphis, not so much. Living in the Midwest, maybe not so much. Not a lot of trees around.
Yeah, basically, if you're doing any form of bushwhacking, the kotokaneer is probably going to be on you. Would be advised to have on you. Either that or a. Let's see. Do we have a word for it? Do not see one for machete.
Probably would go with
Kankal or kakon or not kankon.
no, probably just regular call because it's a blade or knife smaller than a sword.
I was looking for like large, like large knife. Because I mean, machetes get like a good almost 2 feet, so that's about the range of a short sword. So it could be somewhat of a cod.
Let's see if I can find a word for short. I'm sure we got one in here somewhere. Yes. So we've got Skolta. Skolta cod would be short sword.
From one of the documents I have, shows skota can also be used for short.
I think that was the same. Check the language channel. You probably just said the same word I just posted.
Where did you post it?
Mandoa. The language channel.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's yeah. So skota cod.
See, we're getting a little bit of language. It's just when we're trying to get the specific better words. So let's see. I think we're set to move into the everyday medical now.
I'd say so.
And personally, I've just got a basic first aid kit myself. I don't have a IFAC or anything yet. I am looking at getting one, or because I would be the medic for my clan, I would get the bigger set, which we actually, if I think they're still posted in there, but I'll double check in the R&R Bajur channel. Would be the medical stuff. Oh, apparently there's no pinned messages there. Let's try this. No, that's all the books and shit that Aru posted. Okay, so yeah, Kansas Mando definitely posted a medical kit that he would want and what he would put in it. Let's see. I'm trying to see. I don't have. There actually isn't any links for any. Oh yes, there are. I'm sorry. Aru posted them. He's got in a active event casualty response kit in there. Let's see. Nope, that's more books. And stuff to listen to. Somebody just posted something. What was it? Or was that just a conversation we're not a part of right now? Oh yeah, that's just people talking in Vespercom.
Mm.
The big thing that I want to emphasize as well about medical is, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, if you are not trained in it, you should not be carrying it, for the simple fact that you can do a lot more harm than good depending on what the item is or what its intended use is. For example, I've been trained by the military in certain procedures in combat environments. It's very easy to forget the things you've been taught, number one, and number two, misidentifying something and trying to treat the wrong thing, and then by accident putting more holes in somebody is the problem.
You're going very robotic now, Hayam.
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out.
Really, really bad. But I think
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're better now. But let me recap what I think I heard you saying. Is don't do any procedures you're not comfortable or even trained in doing. If you don't know how to do a yeah, I can't even say the word, a hysterectomy, don't do it.
Just because
if you're not comfortable putting nose hoses in, don't do it.
Just because
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
All I was gonna say is just because you've seen it done doesn't mean you know what you're doing.
Yes. Particularly good with field dressings, because I've had to do them on myself many times.
And one thing you can do as well to help keep yourself sharp is, everybody knows what a tourniquet is. Very simple to use, very easy to see how to use them. Fault, that tourniquet is still is not good to use anymore because it's an expirable item, and once you use it once, it's no good. But go ahead and buy like an extra tourniquet and tourniquet your arm, tourniquet your leg. And the way to check to make sure a tourniquet is, and you've got a good cinch on there, is check for a pulse on that limb. You know what I mean?
Yes. Just a quick side thing. Hayam, you might want to try restarting Discord as you keep roboting.
Yeah. We only heard about half of what you said about the tourniquet.
But do a small recap is, yes, tourniquets are basically one-time uses for the most part. There are specific positions for them to go and are not meant to be used for certain things.
Don't put it on your throat.
Yeah, that that one should be quite obvious, but I'm sure someone needs to be told that.
That was them being told. Don't do stupid shit. You will win stupid prizes. And actually, I think we had a language lesson on that last week. So I need to go back and find that one because it's worth saying again.
Private messages.
Huh?
Check the voice channel text.
Okay. All good. There we go. Here it is. Gervenir Goroya Dakutla Balpajir Dakutla Gemawat. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Hey everyone, Zelnamori here. Sadly, due to a bit of a recording hiccup, the medical daily carry section kind of got a bit janky, and it's completely my fault. I do apologize. I'm going to be doing a recap of things that were talked about, as this is future Zell after recording was done. Things that we talked about were an IFAC individual first aid kit, being that have band-aids, gauze, medical tape, things of that nature, a good pair of medical grade shears and scissors. Don't do anything you are not trained for. Just because you've seen it doesn't mean you can do it. Some of us talked about our experiences with being trained, whether it be military and things like that. Cadis was one of those military trained. I've got basic first aid experience from being in the Cub Scouts when I was younger. Things of do's and don'ts: if you're going to have a tourniquet, make sure you practice with it. It is basically a one-time use item, so get yourself a secondary one and practice on yourself. It is not used for every type of situation. Arms and legs mainly. If you're doing a chest injury, take a shirt. If you don't have anything to stop a bleeding or anything like that, pack the wound. Things of that nature. Carry, if you can, carry paper towels with you in your vehicle or in your bag. Me personally, we talked about different bags that we carry, or that we're going to use to carry, with Hayam's having a sort of sling bag that he got from Walmart to carry his stuff. Me and Cadis are planning on having a little IFAC pouch to wear on our hips. Something that I plan on incorporating into my comma that you'll hear later on in the podcast. I gave an experience situation of if you're going to be trained with first aid, try to have the mental fortitude, and this goes into one of the tenets of train your body and mind, to be able to take your training and put it into action, because quite honestly, even if you have the training, until you're actually in the situation, you're not really going to know how you're going to act. For me, quite a few years ago, I was in a bad rollover accident with some friends, and the female friend of ours that was in the front seat in front of me ended up getting a gash, a severe laceration down her leg that ended up needing like 20 plus stitches, if memory serves me right. But after the fact of finding out that the medics said that had I not basically taken her pants leg, ripped it open, and used it as a somewhat bandage, something to stop the bleeding, even though sadly there was glass in the wound, they said had I not done that, her life could have actually been in some serious danger. And that is from training that I got as a kid. Take a first aid class, take a CPR, get CPR certified. Having that little card helps so much in having that with you is so much. The Good Samaritan can only do so much protection when it comes to medical assistance. Another thing to have in your little med pouch is gloves. Avoid powder gloves, as they have a allergen in them that people are allergic to. Obviously, a recommendation I gave was nitrine gloves. They're rather hypoallergenic and can be quite durable. Keep those on you to avoid blood coming in contact with bodily fluids and other things. Bacteria and all that is highly advised. A story that I gave that Hayam and Kaden were laughing and shaking their head in horror was that my mother used to work in a military hospital, the emergency room specifically, and apparently one of the doctors, mind you, this is a hospital, in a quick response asked one of the female doctors for a tampon. Now, this is highly ill-advised method to plugging a hole. Probably the better option is the shirt. Granted, bacteria will be used, is possible, highly likely chance of infection. A tampon is not meant to stop the bleeding, it's meant to absorb. Another thing that Hayam said that he's going to be starting to carry when everything's said and done for his situation is Narcan, or Narcan, basically a chemical used to help with overdosed victims. Because even though you get onto the site of seeing someone who has a tourniquet around their arm and a needle that possibly overdosed on heroin, crack cocaine, whatever the case may be, he's been out for at least the 5 minutes that it's taken you to get the call out to help. Who knows how long it's been since then. If you're ever having to do medical assistance to someone in an emergency situation, definitely make sure that you're contacting proper people. Proper people to get further medical assistance. Whatever you do, do not use liquor like whiskey for an injury. That is movie magic, does not actually work. Avoid it like the plague. Do not do it. Even if it's high proof, potent alcohol, do not do it. You'll cause more harm than good. Another thing that Hayam talked about was a quick clotting substance that is effective to a degree, but it is a horrible, painful process. But it could potentially save your life, definitely. I mean, it cauterizes a wound, but it's only a surface cauterization, as it produces a lot of heat and burns nerve endings areas. So just be advised if you're going to use that, that is something that's going to happen. Have an IFAK, an individual first aid kit for yourself. Have a secondary med kit for others to use. Your IFAK is yours to use. You do not use it on anyone else. I cannot stress that enough. And something that I need to make mention is none of what I am saying here is to be taken as legal advice. I am not a professionally trained. This is armchair coaching, things like that. This is personal experience and things that we've talked about and a general knowledge, so to speak, but do not take anything we say in this podcast as legal advice or professional advice. None of what we say here is any of that. This is only recommendations and advice of potential guidance, more or less, than anything else. Another thing is, for your first aid kits, if you're dealing with anything like medication, Tylenol, ibuprofen, painkillers, iodine, things like that nature, it does expire, so make sure you stay up to date on if it's in good standings. Replace them out. Gauze and band-aids, replace them every year or 2 years, or every 5 to 10 years for gauze and band-aids, every 2 years or so for Tylenol, ibuprofen, those kind of medications should be changed out every year to 2 years. Do your own research. on those statistics. That's just what I have found as a general rule of thumb kind of thing, but nothing to be taken as a for sure situation. Um, what else was there? Um, Tree limbs are a good splint. If you find yourself out in the woods and someone's got a hurt leg or you hurt your own leg, use use 2 tree branches and some rope or cloth or something to wrap around the leg to keep it stabilized. It's a very good emergency splint for those kind of injuries. Um, Keep your packs in mind for tempered climates such as like hot or cold. Make sure that you have proper thoughts of your clothing and everything going into those kind of environments. Hypothermia and hyperthermia are not fun to deal with. As someone who grew up with a high metabolism, I was very prone to dehydration, so I had to carry a Camelback and a canteen with me at a good chunk of the time growing up in Guam, being that it was a hot, humid environment. So dehydration was a very big heat injury threat for me. Aside from that, if there is anything else medically speaking, feel free to add contact in the Discord. Do your research, get training for medical first aid. Would be my advice for you. CPR certifications help. Other than that, I will continue with the original podcast.
I have not had that type of situation come up. I would only hope that I have the same response time that you did and quick thinking. Kendo, what do you usually carry on your EDC medical?
Say what now?
What do you normally have on your everyday medical? What kind of first aid kit? What do you got in yours?
I actually technically don't have one right now. My honestly, I haven't thought that far ahead. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking today.
Good. I can stop calling on you if you want.
No, it's fine. It's just my mind is I'm dealing with a tooth pain, so I can't really focus.
Yes,
fully.
I know your pain. Maybe not the specificness of it, but I feel you.
Yeah, it's causing a lot of focus to not scream.
Stop calling on you so you don't have to talk.
No, I'm gonna look at getting it fucking pulled out. Yeah, the problem is that the tooth's almost non-existent, so it's exposed nerve.
Ooh, yes, I ended up getting that tooth pulled. Yep.
Yeah.
And if I had insurance, I'd have a crown bridge, but now I just have an empty spot in my mouth.
Yeah.
I should have had that. I didn't have the money, otherwise I would have. Because I had great insurance at the time. I'm trying. I changed it. This name is the illegal non-combatant. Things that I have used on a constant basis: band-aids and a shitload of them, gauze, an ace bandage wrap, tweezers, scissors, and some kind of medical tape. Doesn't, even if it's duct tape or electrical tape, have some kind of non-scotch tape in it. Can't tell you how many times I've electrical taped a piece of paper towel or something with my finger because I couldn't get to a band-aid or something. Now I would go and actually change it over to a proper band-aid later, but just a little bit of electrical tape around it will also do the same effect. Just don't let it stay on there for long. Have some paper towels in your car. Some kind of disinfectant, whether it's Neosporin, rubbing alcohol, just something to clean a wound. Let's see, I already said ace bandage wrap, scissors, shitload of band-aids. Yeah, that's mostly what you're going to need on an everyday basis. Anything more than that, and you're getting into actual medical kit. And honestly, Amazon has got some great ones I've been looking at for about $100-$200 budget range. That's got quite a bit in there. But this is going to be like first responder level stuff that you're looking at in those kits. Just your basic everyday, just what I just said: band-aids, scissors, tweezers, antiseptic wipes, something. Yes. Not your kitchen scissors. Actually go out and get a legit medical hospital pair of scissors.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
trauma
not,
shears
they're
are
not
wonderful.
expensive. Yes. I'm trying to think of the word. Thank you.
And I mean, as somebody who I guess is a little bit less medically inclined, I went through the basically combat, like the I forget exactly what the course was called, but basically it was combat medicine when I was in the Marine Corps. Basically, it's how to keep you alive until Doc can get to you.
Yes.
And it's not going to be fun. And I've told people that I'm like, look, if you ever like get seriously wounded in front of me, it's not going to be a pleasant experience. It's not going to be fun, but I'm going to do my diddly darn best to keep you alive. So that being said, some of the things that I keep with me just out of practice is, again, like you said, trauma shears. And I normally keep this in like a sling bag that I got from Walmart. It's in the travel section, very low profile, very spacious, if you will, and it can hold a lot of stuff. Is tourniquet, basic boo-boo kit, band-aids, all that fun stuff. And I've actually added on like Benadryl, Advil, Tylenol, and Midol into my bag as well as gauze. And I try to keep, I think it's nylon wound dressing as well, because I know some people are allergic to
Yes.
more common stuff. So make sure you have the allergen treatment stuff as well, which again, it isn't a necessity. It's more of a nicety for the individual who may need it.
I want to add on one real thing real quick. Gloves. Get gloves. Powder free. Because there's me personally, I don't have that problem, but apparently there's an allergen in the powder. Get powder free gloves. Because you do not want to be touching any of the shit coming out of another person without gloves on. I was thinking that while you were saying this, is like, I didn't say gloves in mine. I usually
Sorry,
keep those.
it's so easily overlooked because that is
It
in
really
my
is.
standard boo-boo kit. I literally just forget it's even there because most of the time I'm handing somebody whatever they need. I'm not necessarily treating them directly.
Or you're working on yourself.
Absolutely, which you normally don't need gloves for, but if somebody's actively bleeding or actively oozing some kind of substance, or clearly not clean, I would highly recommend gloves. And worst case, and I'm talking worst case scenario, inside my kit, I have regular gloves, like mechanics gloves. Even that's better than bare hand touching somebody. So
Yes.
if you don't have medical grade gloves, just put something on, whether it's your mechanics gloves, something to get between your skin and whatever may be oozing out of their body.
And my guess is that's probably what they use in hospitals. And these things we're saying are not expensive. I think personally, I would want to spend about $50 to $60 on a decent first aid kit. Even if it's just you going and grabbing the stuff that we're talking about. You don't have to go out and get a pre-made one for a couple hundred. Just even building your own basic shouldn't cost you more than 50 to 60 bucks. If even that.
Yeah, and if we're talking a more dedicated, like something to go on a plate carrier or a war belt, I would encourage you to get certain stuff like vintage chest seals, and other specialized equipment in order to plug holes or prevent any more damage being done. But for everyday carry, like in the backpack I was talking about, this is the kind of stuff you'd want to have versus the more
The plate
heavy
carrier
hitting.
would be dock related stuff. Which actually, I think we've gotten, unless y'all want to keep talking about everyday first aid, that's a really good segue into the final topic of best good gone. No, I'm sorry, I was talking about the perishable. There we go. That's the word. Their shelf life
Cold
is
packs.
probably a long time, but at the same time, if you've had something in your car for 20 years, it might be time to replace some of it. No, no, we cannot say that enough. We are all
Legal,
paranoid.
medical,
We
or
are not.
professional advice in any way, shape, or form.
This is just recommendations on what we carry or what we should think be carried. Do not claim that we told you to do this because we did not. Unfortunately, I can't get into my Amazon because that's the screen I'm using for the background recording. And I've got an
Or are you
open.
scared that everybody will see your purchase history?
Yes, not just mine, it's my sister-in-law's too.
I'm scared now. Do I need an adult?
You are an adult.
No, I'm grown. Do not mistake grown for adult.
You're an adult, you're an adult. Some of the stuff she buys, it get. Some of the books she reads. Yes.
Moving on. Beskar Gom.
About this armor, yeah, let's me personally, I don't have much more than my van brace that I currently wear to keep with the way.
Yeah, I don't have a link for it. Literally, I have yet to not see it at a Walmart. Like every single Walmart I've ever been to across the country, if you go to the travel section, there's a little Swiss Army type sling bag that's in the travel section. I would highly recommend it. And there's a small pouch that's about, I'd say, 3 or 4 inches wide on the very back of it, that is conveniently sized for anything that may be compact or subcompact.
Hey Zell, that is actually what I've been looking at getting. Is something
And I just realized.
But yeah, so
I
I
just
know
realized that
the van braces were talked about. Something else that was brought up in between our last podcast and now, somebody had pointed out the lack of, I guess, rating from the official government for the premier body armor that I carry. Um, I don't really personally like the idea of the government like, haha, this it has met the minimum standard because, okay, congratulations, you met the minimum standard. Why do we have to get the certification? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Armor is armor. If it protects something, that's all that matters.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether it's 3A or leather. Leather will hold up to certain degrees, just like 3A will hold up to certain degrees.
Nothing is 100% proof. It's all resistant.
My Vambrace, however, has some battle damage thanks to a certain dog.
Funny enough, I just realized that I've been muted, so the recording has not been hearing my side of things until now.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh no.
Because I
Nope.
know I've got
Oh
audio
goodness.
on my side, so I know you have not been getting recorded on mine.
Mhm.
Have you been recording?
No, because I wasn't able to figure it out without the camera rolling.
Oh shit.
It's fine. I could just do a voiceover from what I remember the conversation was. I'll just figure out where I was and just do a voiceover of what I was talking about.
Yeah, all of
Yeah.
my recording of you would have been echoed, so that's why I just muted all of that.
Mm-hmm.
All mine's going to be is the background timing for the last hour and a half you weren't talking.
Well, it hasn't been that long, but
Sure.
yeah, it's maybe like 20 minutes or so.
So only about a third of the podcast.
But yeah, I did post in the picture the inside of that pouch that.
Yeah, that is very similar to what I've been looking at.
Yeah, simple. Everything's right there and can be easily organized.
Yeah, and also I do want to add the caveat as well from my previous statement about somebody's concerned that it wasn't compliant with the federal government's regulation on bullet-resistant material. If that's something that you feel you need in order to feel more confident and safe in donning whatever equipment you may be donning, you are not wrong for that belief or that need. It is something that is to be considered, though. If that's something that makes you feel more safe and secure, go with it. If you're okay with it, like myself and the other gentleman on the podcast, then you don't really need it. Like you don't really need that government rating if you feel confident without it. So go with whatever makes you feel most comfortable, confident, and safe. You're not wrong for looking for that certification.
Yeah, not everyone needs to be carrying, what is it, like level 4 plates, darn near almost impenetrable.
If I need level 4, yeah,
If
my
you're-
opinion is
If you're needing level 4, that's your expected for every day, you really need to rethink what you're doing with your life, honestly.
Right.
hell, even in my dedicated plate carrier, I personally don't have level 4. I have 3 plus. Number one, because of the weight, and number two, if you're shooting at me with a 30-06 with armor penetration capability, you want me dead. And it's going to come down to a battle of wills at that point, whether or not you can hit me before I hit you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Your actions really need to be thought about of like, what have I done to get myself in this position that I think I require this?
Well, that, and if I see Grandpa breaking out the M1 Garand, run.
Hey, Zell, I just posted the IFAC that I've been looking at.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, as I said, I plan on incorporating eventually into a comma, which to a point is a form of protection
That's good. Legs.
for my
Off.
for my area. typically it would be used talking about lore. It would be like it's a hunter's battle skirt used for protection from foliage and whatnot, but there are certain aspects to it that allow for more use than just foliage.
Are we talking like William Wallace battle skirt or?
Play Destiny 2. I'm thinking a Titan Mark.
Yes. I've posted a picture of it.
Can you put a photo of it up so that way I can get a better reference? I don't know if you heard me, but yeah.
Yeah. One up as well.
I'm uploading one right now. Yeah, there you go. It's in the chat. Basically, it's there to cover the hips and outer thighs. Are
pants required?
This would go over. This would go over like a belt.
I'm asking if pants are required.
I mean, your local laws may say so.
If you're at home, wearer's discretion.
This is nothing like a kilt.
Not a skirt.
Oh, you're talking about the article where you actually have something underneath.
That is one fun thing that I believe is actually a myth, is that the Scots didn't wear anything beneath their kilts. From what I understand, they actually did. Because do you know how cold it gets up in Scotland?
I'm sure they did. It's just the funny fact of, I'm pretty sure they ran with it of like, yeah, sure, we don't wear anything underneath. We're just that badass. Or, the joke of why is it that a Scotsman wears kilts is sheeps can hear a zipper a mile away.
Hey, Hayam, I posted a picture.
While factual, you're still wrong for that.
Oh, I have a sick sense of humor, but it's how I deal with bad situations. But yeah, the comma is that's been depicted is specifically for the sides of the thighs and hips, just because those more so on the hip side, it's a little harder to add protection without losing mobility. I plan on having mine being a full all the way around, but not in the front style.
So you would have an actual kilt.
No, it would still be open in the front. Think of the bottom, basically a cape around my waist.
Your caped crusader?
I'm probably going to add that to my my cosplay, because I'm going to be going to Dragon Con this year.
Ooh, nice.
As a Mando.
Nice.
So I'm probably going to add that.
Mm-hmm. I plan on incorporating mine into my basically a duty rig belt to go around my waist that carries my sidearm and everything. Well, the sidearm I plan on having as a thigh holster, just because that for me has always been more comfortable than a hip holster.
See, I like where Commander Fox keeps his blaster, his Tracier, and that's what I want to do with mine.
Yeah, he keeps it at a low holster, not quite to the point of a thigh holster, but a low holster for the belt.
See, what kind of material would you recommend for a comma?
Comma, if you're looking to reduce weight, what I personally recommend is getting the material that Dickies are made of, as well as what is it that military uniforms are made from. There was a discussion about this in the Beskar
I must have missed that. All right, I'll go Hayan. We'll see it when you get back. Uh, I must have missed that conversation
Mm-hmm.
because
Because
I'm thinking Kevlar would be a good material.
Kevlar would be a good insert material if you're wanting to have freedom seed
I want the
protection.
mobility and the armor.
Yes. Uh,
Like back on last week's conversation, you remember I talked about the hacksmith
mm-hmm.
making John Wick's bulletproof suit.
Yes. Do it.
That's what I'm picturing in my mind for this.
Yes, that would be a very comparable. Do keep in mind that with this being around the legs, um, it will be moving a lot, so that could potentially, what's the word I'm looking for? Compromise the weave
Ability
of.
to stop or slow.
Yes, it could compromise the layering of the Kevlar.
Well, see, that's why you would want a quilted
Mm-hmm.
top. So that way the Kevlar is staying in place and not free flowing inside
Yes.
of the material.
Because what I personally was going to as a quote unquote Gen 1 version of the comma that I planned on making is having a leather outer with the like Dickies pants or like uniform material. How it's not quite denim, but it's it's a lighter, it's light yet durable and breathable. The issue that comes with leather for anything is weight. Leather, while good protection, it comes at the cost of being a bit on the heavy side. So what I'm going to be switching to is having either Dickies material or what military BDUs and ACUs are made out of as a huh?
Sorry, dog's barking. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute real quick.
It's all good. Having what those are made out of as a sort of external material to help with abrasions, with if I'm ever able to get the financial stability to get my hands on Kevlar to put into a core of the comma.
It's definitely something to be
So,
thought about, and for everybody else that's listening as well, understand that this again is all personal preference
Mm-hmm.
and inspiration. So if you see something that like you agree with, like, and want to incorporate, do it. If it's not your cup of tea, that's perfectly okay. Not all of us are gonna, and again, kind of bringing it back to the everyday Beskar Gom as well. I mean, we're not going to be carrying this every day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so feel free to make your dedicated kit, if you will, how you feel most confident and comfortable. Um, like with the battle kilt, it is a great asset in my opinion. Um, I personally run in my dedicated platform a drop leg holster, a Safari Land drop leg that isn't quite. It's like a quarter of the way down my calf. It's not halfway or three quarters of a way like some Blackhawks, but
Mm-hmm.
some people like that, some people don't.
Yeah, comfortability for me when it comes to a thigh holster is about basically to where my hand is slightly bent when I'm going to grab it, grab at my trachea. That's my comfortability. Now I've had several people talk in regards to how they prefer the hip holster over a thigh holster for mobility and whatnot, and that's all perfectly good. Your armor should be based off of your preference and what is most comfortable for you, because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be effective.
Yep, my hip holster does not sit well while I'm driving, so I've got a thigh holster. But the problem I've got with that is it will ride down as I'm walking. It will shift itself down, and my pants will go down with it.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure something out in the middle of that. Back to the
Stronger
topic.
belt.
I mean, even a belt's not fucking helping. I posted a couple of Titan marks from the video game I play, Destiny 2,
Hmm.
and that is kind of like the pattern or like the quilting I would recommend for the Kevlar style.
Yeah.
Something where, hell, even if you think quilted northern toilet paper, the quilted pattern on that
Hmm.
is something
Yeah.
I would personally recommend. That way, it's not just think about just wearing a shirt over on top of another shirt. You've got the freedom, the mobility freedom of the two shirts where they're not staying put. You want the exact opposite with your armor. You want that stuff to be able to stay where it is so they can do the best job.
Yeah, for the what we were talking about in regards to the comma is it should be very, it should be stiff. It should be fairly durable. There should be some stiffness to it, but it shouldn't impede any movement. So if you're running, it shouldn't be hindrance to that, or having to crouch down or anything like that. It should not be.
Yes.
And a comma, I'm not saying is required in no way. For me personally, this is a personal choice that I want a comma, um, just because of where I live, the future that me and my family is prepping for one another. It is going to be a not necessarily a requirement, but it is going to be a protection that I would like to have for my everyday. Um, and the level of resistance that I'm looking for is more so a blade. If it can stop up to a 9 millimeter Freedom Seed, cool. I will be satisfied with that personally. It's more so for bladed protections and give that kind of armor protection.
And kind of touching on what you were talking about with the future, in the present as well, if you find yourself um, carrying your best Gargom pretty much everywhere you go inside your vehicle, make sure that you have a good way to conceal it without it being inaccessible, because a lot of times these carriers and these things that you do are high dollar items. They're worth not only a lot financially, but as well as your worth as well, how you view them as worthy. Something that can't necessarily be replaced, especially after you pour a lot of time, energy, and thought into said platform. Make sure that you're able to conceal it if you're going to carry it inside of a vehicle or out and about in your day to day, so that you're not at risk of being victimized by theft. You know what I mean?
A recommendation I have when it comes speaking in regards to that is, if you're not going to be having it on as you're out and about, probably should keep that level at home for the most part. Only go out with what you're expecting, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And again, I think it really does come down to your personal choice and opinion. Uh, both sides are very reasonable sides to take, in my opinion. Um, if you feel the need to bring it out, bring it out. If you just want to bring it out just for funsies, yeah, maybe, but you should probably consider just leaving it at home if you don't feel the need, if you don't see the possibility of needing it, maybe keep it at home.
Keep in mind that Beskaraga is a holy relic to us, so one should treat it with the respect that a holy relic is due. It shouldn't just be like, oh, this is cool. No, this is to be taken to the seriousness that this Beskaraga is to protect your life. It's not just meant to be a showpiece. Now, if you want a set of Beskaraga for ceremonious purposes, I think I've seen... Say again?
Or even cosplay reasons.
Mm-hmm. Do keep in mind, they don't quite meet the standards of the second tenet.
While it does offer some protection, when we consider what is truly Beskaraga is, will it stop freedom seeds? That is what contemplates armor in the way. What actual physical protection does it do regarding pews?
Or the historical sense. Because some armor is still recognized, even though it's because of its historical usage.
Yeah, metal, Kevlar, leather, not plastics.
Some polymers, when combined with others.
Okay. Let me clarify. PLA, ABS, 3D print material.
Yeah.
Is not considered armor. Sorry, when I say plastic, I mean 3D print plastic material.
Yeah, because I was gonna say some polymers, when combined with like Kevlar and whatnot, have been shown to be somewhat effective.
Now, I will say there are some 3D print materials that could be considered armor. There is carbon fiber. There is actually metal filaments that can be printed. It's a process to get the metal out of the plastic filament, but it is doable.
Installation 00, I've talked about on the last podcast, that's working towards a real-life version of Mjolnir armor from Halo, Master Chief's armor. He's using metal 3D printing companies to build currently the helmet of Master Chief.
I'm scrolling up in the Heart of Iron Facebook Messenger group because there was somebody who was doing what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute. They were making the Cartra Beskars 3D printing and then sinting the plastic filament off to make it a metal instead of just hammering it out like what Bavo do or Grant do for their parts of iron, their Vodtegs.
Mm-hmm.
This can actually get 3D printed, and then the plastic will pretty much melt off, leaving the metal design. It might actually be in the 3D design check, because I've scrolled a long ass way up.
But yeah, when it comes to your armor, taking into consideration what you're expecting to have to protect against, and one thing I'd like to point out is, Trashir are the highest danger. Honestly, a Khal, you're probably more likely to run into as a threat than you are a Trashir. Statistically speaking, here in the U.S.
Okay, there we go.
And don't pass off the threat of a call. They are.
Oh, no, I'm not at all.
Oh no, that's more of like towards the audience. I have plenty of pictures that show why it is police officers use the force they do, and people are like, "It's just a call. It's just a call." I've got the pictures that show that a call can be far worse than a trechier, depending on the situation.
Now, it begs the question as well. I don't know if we talked about it last podcast. Would you consider pepper spray or tasers to be covered under tenant number 1?
No. Personally, no.
Those are considered non-lethal applications. I don't feel I am in a position to answer that.
That's something I think we should direct to the Allori.
Yes, that would be a question for an Allori.
I'm in several groups with them. I just based off of previous conversations, they would say no.
Okay.
Because it's that non-lethal option.
Duly noted. More asking for anybody that may have that question as well.
I would say that I would recommend having it as a tool.
Oh yeah,
on
I would
you.
not argue that point, but it will not be covered as a
Arms.
armed.
Mm-hmm.
That the first tenet strictly states trechiers is the preferred armament, with calls and group calls being secondary if you cannot legally own or stay
Carry.
armed with a trechier.
Which once recognized may change.
Correct.
But yes, I highly recommend that a non-lethal option should be part of one's toolkit, more so in a legal sense of option, because as I said earlier, I've had to pull my trechier while on duty, and it merited it, being that the reason for it is I heard the pop and a distinct notice, like it's a sound that if you know that non-lethal was not going to be the option and lethal force was the one to do. Not always is it the option, and a non-lethal option should be there always. And if you're going to use a non-lethal, such as what did we say for spicy air?
Let's go back to I know I posted it in the language channel, but it's eluding my eyes. There it is. How long? I'll just search it. Okay, Hitalek Abik, which is spicy air. Which for some reason I didn't put the
pronunciation.
So let me get that real.
But yeah, if you're gonna carry that or a taser or something that allows you to have a way to defend yourself without the requirement of lethal force, I personally would recommend having that. Now, that being said, if you do have that and you do end up needing to use your Threshir or Call, you best have a strong reason to defend your use of such if you carry something that's not used for non-lethal. And should you have to use anything, make the call needed, authorities arrive, and you stay quiet till you have a lawyer.
And without advocating for any particular group or any particular organization, I would highly recommend, given our belief system, that you do invest in some type of insurance, and do your research. Literally just go to YouTube and find any big YouTuber that reviews basically these companies that provide insurance for you, and see the benefits and the cons of each organization, if you will, in order to better prepare you financially and legally for, God forbid, that situation should that day ever come.
Yes.
I will say one of the bigger advertised ones I'm sure everybody sees is the USCCA.
I do believe that's one of the more popular groups.
I know I see advertisements for them. Hell, I want to say every 5 or 10 videos on TikTok or even on YouTube.
But in regards to everyday protection, Beskarga, your chest is the number one place to protect. Center mass.
Stomach.
Yeah, center mass is what to keep in first and foremost. I can sit here and talk about legs, arm bracers, greaves, gauntlets. I could sit there and talk about all that all day, but the number one place to protect is center mass, torso, gut, and then head.
Finally found the image I was looking for the Kartra Beskar. Christian Wiley from the Armorers Guild is the one who currently has the ability to print these. I'm going to post it into the chat.
Ooh, that's really cool.
That is actually 3D printed metal. I don't know specifically which metal, but his message was the latest and best Karta, fresh out of the kiln and only wire brushed. So it's not polished or anything, it's just cleaned
The rough
up.
cleaning.
Yeah.
That's really cool. One thing that we haven't talked about actually is head protection, I've noticed.
That would be correct. We really haven't talked too much about the boyshes. You gotta protect that head. Now, I do know in the Beskar Gone Bollywood channel, this topic has been discussed, and people share their helmets or what they would want to have for helmets all the time.
Yeah, I've got a idea for my helm that will take a lot of financial support because of what all I want it to personally do. To go into it, obviously protection from freedom seeds is number one and first and foremost.
Yes.
Blunt force trauma from, like, say, someone using a bat or a bludgeoning weapon of some sort. But another thing I personally want for it to have is comms systems of some sort.
Whether it
And
be external comms or like cell phone comms,
correct.
it person to person or speaker. Sorry.
Correct. And then another aspect of it is that it is able to seal around my head and be used as a form of gas mask of sorts.
Without actually being a gas mask, because that really doesn't offer too much concussive or kinetic protection.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it definitely does not provide any stabby or freedom seat protection.
Yeah, it would have the design that I'm working on is going to be like an internal filtration system. If I could find the picture to show off the helm design that I'm wanting to work with, it actually has like two little nodes on the cheek that would be really perfect for where you would put, say, carbon filters and whatnot.
Padding is going to be extremely important, regardless of whatever you get. Just as a PSA to all of our audience out there, watch your padding. Don't want thin, but you don't necessarily need thick. It's just something that will keep the head safe, and your boy shave won't be rattling around too much. Basically, think of a football player's helmet. That's the amount of padding that you would want.
Now, the only tricky thing when it comes to the helm is the visor area.
Yeah. I've seen most using motorcycle, not glass, but the
Acrylic.
well, yeah, the glass and the tint for eye protection / visor area.
And one thing I would like to point out when it comes to the helm is one doesn't need to do the traditional Mandalorian style as
I
far.
was just thinking that same damn thing.
Because quite honestly, I asked this question, is like, and if you personally choose the Mandalorian style helmet, by all means, you're comfortable with it, you do you. Me personally, I actually like the ideas that Halo helms actually have.
Yes, I will agree with that. Now, albeit, yeah, the T visor is the traditionally common known Mandalorian helm. That's not the only one Mandos have used. Honestly, I personally, this is my own personal opinion, is we might actually want to get away from the T visor because it's so closely held with the mouse, and we don't want any problems with the mouse. That is my own personal opinion.
And while I can agree, at the same time, a T visor can't be copyrighted, seeing as it's been used in historical usage of ancient warfare.
Okay, I can agree with that. I was more reflecting upon the actual design of the boy shape, not just the T visor.
Well, even then, George Lucas designed it, the Mandalorian helmet, based off of like Sparta, Greece warriors, Roman, Greek and Greek, ancient Greek warriors like Spartans.
I was not aware of that. Nice. Okay, I recant my statement.
I mean, it's still something that I would say look into the full protection viability of it. Because as I said, I personally, while I am looking for a traditional Mandalorian style helmet, I may switch over to something that's more in lines with the designs that Halo has for their helms.
I was also thinking along the lines of visibility out. With the T-visor, you've got that very narrow visibility slit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I posted the helm idea.
Interesting.
Yeah, on the sides there of the cheeks is where you could easily incorporate a carbon filter type system. I wouldn't have that antenna piece though. Another thing, keep in mind what you're putting on your Beskar. Don't let it, make sure that it's doesn't snag on anything, or things can't snag on it easily.
Now, the only reason I would possibly see an antenna is for comms.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in the canon universe, they use that as a radar extension.
Yeah, but at the same time, they also have like integrated hoods.
And that is something I would want on mine, is a full visibility HUD.
Mm-hmm. Which is doable with the Microsoft HoloLens.
But that way you're not limited to that T-visor visibility.
Mm-hmm.
You could legit get a 360 view from inside your bush.
Oh, something like that I don't think is currently available.
I mean, if you place them outright, you should be able to get at least 180 degree. Maybe not full 360.
Mm-hmm.
But with the slight turns of your head, you should be able to get that rear view pretty easily. And again, I know not what I speak of professionally. This is just my thoughts. Take that as they are. This has definitely been a fun episode, though. My background recording's sitting at like 2 hours and 10 minutes now.
Yeah, same.
And we're currently looking at Obi-Wan Kenobi looking out on the siege of Mandalore.
Well, see, the really funny thing is that one of the recordings only has what, like 45 minutes?
Oh, there are several where it was just me talking, and they're less than. They're around 20-minute marks. That has been my biggest complaint, is we have not had continual. I'm not going to say continual attendance, but low attendance to no attendance of participation. So having people who are going to be a constant show up and not just myself talking is a plus.
Yeah, and I also want to add as well, and I'm sure we've already covered this during the show, but the 4 topics that we have talked about, again, don't take it as advice or us telling you stuff you should do. More look at it as inspiration, or if you hear something that you're like, you know what, I want to do that. It should be an individual decision.
I would say take it as advice, but don't take it as any legal advice.
What he said.
Take everything we say with a grain of rice or a grain of salt, and make sure you do your own personal research on the matter as well.
Exactly.
Everything we say in regards to call, Threshers, Beskarga, the medical stuff that one carries. That should be something that you know you are going to be around or need, and
We
is
don't
to
know
your
your
level.
exact situations. These are just topics that could come up or might be prepared for.
Ideally, all of us being trained in somewhat a good field, not field medic, but having the full protection of, like, granted it'd be a bit overkill, but like full 4A armor or whatever, having that whole medical knowledge to deal with in-field dressings and stuff like that. Would that be ideal? Probably. Is that reality? No. Everyone's situation is different. Build your kit to your situation.
Not everyone lives near downtown Memphis. Not everyone lives out in bumfuck Egypt where you're the only person around for 5 miles.
Exactly.
Not everyone. Chicago, for another instance. Not everybody lives there. So somebody who lives there is going to have a different experience than me here in Memphis, or someone different than Zell in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Chicago. May want to look into that 4A.
Yes.
But yeah, if I could say anything, is just your kit should be based off of you and your experiences. Don't have anything on you that you're not experienced, you're not trained with. Don't overcomplicate your stuff. And not everything needs to be the most expensive.
Don't remember your weight limit. If I'm still correct in assuming this, most military, Army or Marines, is 45 pounds gear.
I believe it's anywhere, depending on the situation, 50 to 100 at most. Like that's like really long trek solo.
That's not including ammo. That's not including. That might include rations.
Oh, if we're not including ammo, then yeah, it's either 45 to 50 pounds of gear.
Because not everyone's going to have the same ammo or tracer requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Like me personally, I've got, going back to that first topic, is my SR9. I've got 3 additional magazines for it that I could carry. So that allows me, let's see, 34, almost 68 rounds for carry. And then if I'm carrying the Con, I've got, I think, almost 30 rounds. But that's mainly going to be a hunting, a food acquiring. Yeah, I agree. We do need to finish soon. So let's. I think we've done a really good job of wrapping it up. Topic of next week's podcast to be determined. We will have at least 1, maybe 2 language sessions to be able to cover. We'll see what Shannon comes up with. Other than that, everybody have a great day, and Ibik Runi, this is the way.
Ibik Runi, this is the way.
Ibik Runi.
Ibik Runi.